Okay, well, the beginning of a 5-month trimester of the Jewish trimester academic year. I think I'll start by just giving you some description of my background, and then maybe we'll go around the room and each one say who you are, where you're from, and what particularly you're looking for in the yeshiva experience. And we'll use that as a kind of platform to take the next steps. I come from a Baal Tshuva background. I became interested in Yiddishkeit in my undergraduate years. And after I got my BA, I took off a year to come to yeshiva and went to Merkaz Rav Kook. Those days were the era which I call BA, before Art Scroll. Art Scroll wasn't created in the Garden of Eden with Adam. Art Scroll is a famous publishing house which publishes gigantic amount of English Torah literature. And there were no Baal Tshuva yeshivas at the time. This was 1960. So 1964 is when I came to Israel to spend a year in Merkaz Rav Kook. And then I went back and got my doctorate and became part of the philosophy department at Johns Hopkins University. I was there for 10 years, trying my best to learn Torah as best I could, in my spare time, in the summers. I received a National Science Foundation grant and spent that years learning every day in the morning, like Jews do. You do what you have to do for your physical support, and you spend as much time as you can learning. And then in January of 1981, we moved to Israel. I moved here to join Ohr Somayach, and they gave me the first year to spend the morning and afternoon periods in yeshiva. And I spent the year with Osika Shalevsky, who is a gigantic genius, a worldwide noted scholar, from whom I learned an enormous amount. And by the way, just as a footnote, approximately a year ago, he had his first child at the age of 88. And he is, Baruch Hashem, alive and well and teaching in yeshiva and cherishing this new child, and he never gave up hope. He never gave up hope. I can't even imagine that. You're 65, now having had a child, 70, 75, 80, 83, 84, not to give up hope of having a child. And he lived to see the fulfillment of that hope. So I spent that time with him, and then after that, Rabbi Nata Schiller, one of the founders of Ohr Somayach, told me once that in business management, you want full-time employees because then they're loyal to you. If it's a part-time employee, he has other loyalties, and you can't really rely on him for the extra push when you need it. He said, I have an opposite policy. I don't want full-time teachers. I want teachers who spend half of their day learning. I want them to be involved in their own education, their own research, their own discovery. It's more building for them, and since they're involved in the process of learning, there's a certain excitement when you discover something new, and you can communicate that to your students. That's worthwhile. So I spent always half a day learning, and I've been here since January of 1981. My secular training is in philosophy, in particular in philosophy of mathematics and logic. People hear philosophy and they think woolly stuff about beauty and so forth and so on. And there's a lot of philosophy that's like that. But my philosophy, since I was also very interested in mathematics, my philosophy was about the nature of mathematics and the verification of mathematics. And I did research, and I published a book with Oxford. And then I came here, and although I've kept up with various philosophical areas that I'm interested in, I didn't do any more publishing since I came here in philosophy. Since I've been here, I put out two Jewish books. One was with Art Scroll, was called The Informed Soul, which is a write-up of 8 of my lectures that I gave here regularly. And another is called Reason to Believe, which was just recently reprinted. I have copies also for sale. And another one that's coming out next month about Ashgacha Pratis, individual providence, especially in the writings of the Rambam. So, the areas in which I'm trained, both philosophically and Jewishly, the areas which I'm most interested in are philosophy, of course, logic. I've spent a great deal on Jewish thought, a great deal of time on Jewish thought. That includes Kabbalistic thought. A great deal of time on Talmudic analysis. I have learned the Daf Yomi, that's the daily folio of Talmud learning, for over 50 years. The Talmud is always challenging and always rewarding. I'm very interested in language, the structure of language and the particular meanings of words, and the way language fits together. And I'm a practicing Chassid, so I have learned a great deal of Hasidic literature, and I'm very interested in Hasidic thought. I mention this to you because you'll know what I'm capable of, what kinds of subjects that I can have the background to be able to discuss. If people ask, I have once a week a Q&A session. Sunday nights is a Q&A session. I'm prepared to hear any question that's asked, but if it's about practical halacha or it's about Jewish history, I very well may not know the answer. It doesn't really bother me. I have no difficulty saying I don't know. It's just in terms of the best use of time, these are the areas in which I'm most competent. A great deal of philosophical ideas that I communicate, I do so via learning various texts. The book of Genesis is full of passages where I try to accomplish two goals. One is to give you hands-on practice for yourself in trying to interpret text, to learn how to do that. It's a skill, like many other skills, that's learned best by practice, and also to absorb the deeper lessons that are going on in the book of Genesis. I've taught the Way of God by Luzzatto, which is also a fundamental text. We could take selections of that. The essay on repentance of the Rambam, Hilchos Tshuva, which also has repentance is a central idea, and then together with it, he has a discussion of free will and responsibility and knowing the future, various related ideas. So my approach is philosophical. I want to know what it means, where it comes from, what's the message in it, and ultimately, how do you live it? That's the approach that I take to these ideas. So that's a little bit about my background. Now, if it's okay with you, let's go around the room. Each one of you introduce yourselves. We'll all know each other, and then we'll try to get started. Yeah?
Zachary Block. I became Balt Shuv around 3 to 4 years ago. It's like February 2022. I kind of started out in the Hasidic sphere and Chabad, and then I kind of migrated over. I spent the last couple of years kind of with the shul where we had a kollel. I studied with a lot of the kollel guys there.
Where was this?
In Hollywood, Florida, Bais Mordechai. A couple of very good kollel rabbis. Spent a lot of time with them. So.
Okay, so you're coming with some background.
Yeah.
Good, very good. Anything you're particularly interested in?
There's a lot of things.
Okay.
I love Torah in general. I think I tend to lean towards certain philosophical texts. So like anything like with Musar, I'll I'll eat it up. But the Gemara it's Agadada, it's thought on halacha. But
Okay. Okay.
My name is Moshe Levine from Muncie, New York. Grew up religious, and I'm looking just to work on getting closer to God, more about the basics of Judaism.
It's interesting that the typical childhood religious education stresses certain areas and not other areas. And very often people come in who came up through the yeshiva system, but there are certain questions and certain subjects which they would like to understand better and would never discuss at all. And that's also important. Yeah.
I'm Gabrielle. I also come from a Kabbalah Yeshiva background. Got interested in Judaism after college. Got into it through Chabad. But I also would go to the same shul as Zachary over here.
Oh.
Based Mordecai. And basically I came to Yeshiva to learn everything that I can, but primarily to learn Gemara. To learn it, as they say.
Okay, that's a big. How long are you planning on staying?
Hopefully for the full semester.
For the full semester. Okay. Yeah. Well, okay. But speak up for everybody else. Yeah.
My name is Michael Lebedev, and I come from a Baal Teshuva background. I was born secular traditional, but then I was sent to a private Orthodox Jewish school, not necessarily because one of the reasons was I was Jewish, that wasn't the main reason, but accidentally, or as you could say, there are no such thing as accidents, but unintentionally, that's when I was exposed to Orthodox Judaism, and since then I've spent like the last 10 years, like almost 10 years trying to like study it and like trying to grow interest in it, first in the ethical part of Judaism, because that was what stuck out to me the most, and then eventually Yiddishkeit itself.
Where was this? What city were you in?
I'm from a city called Hamilton. It's in Canada. It's south of Toronto.
That's the 51st state, right?
You could say that.
You're also from Canada? You don't want to have him. I hear that.
Right. So first I began with being sent to the Orthodox Jewish elementary school, and I was exposed to the basics of it, essentially. And then since the lockdown during my high school years, I was exposed to more of Yiddishkeit and got more interested in it when I engaged in NCSY. In addition, I was also learning about the ethical and the importance of the Torah and overall Judaism and overall its fundamental idea of ethical monotheism from a podcaster from California named Dennis Prager. And then during college, I was connected by an ally of NCSY known as Olami Together, and they set me up with a rabbi also from California, Los Angeles, who gave me a strong foundation not only in Judaism but in Orthodox Judaism, so that I could desire not only to do the ethical mitzvahs but also all the mitzvot in general. And he got me to become Shomer Shabbos in my own home, which I never thought was possible, because my family is also secular traditional, and I didn't think they would ever allow me to embrace Shabbos in my own home, but Baruch Hashem, it worked. And he even helped me get to yeshiva, and now I'm here. I've been here for 5 months, and I was supposed to stay till August because I thought I thought my college wouldn't allow me to take a gap year, but then I contacted them at the last minute. They said I could take a gap year.
Oh, wow.
So I was like, okay, so I extended my flight till after Pesach, so I'm going to be here till after Pesach. And my goals for coming here was to learn how to study Chumash, Gemara, and other texts, ideally on my own. And I also came here to learn halacha and also Musar and improve my own character traits, build a foundation for hashkafa, and for Yiddishkeit and overall like answers to like deep questions like, for example, like Jewish marriage or like how to view life, how to live through life, that sort of thing.
Okay. I'd just like to point out a footnote on what he said now. I hope you're young. I taught the university for 10 years. Your picture of the future ought to be wide open. You don't know even what your capabilities are now. You have no idea what they'll grow into. You have no idea what circumstances will arise. Don't close anything off. Sometimes I would counsel students at Hopkins, and they would say, well, I could never do that. He's 21. I could never do that. It's so depressing for me to hear someone say that, because he's closed off a sector of life, and he has no idea whether he can or whether he will be able to, and he's just dismissed it. Anyway, so you discovered that something which you never thought would be possible was possible. It's a very valuable discovery. And I say to all of you, there are things which you rule out because there's a difference between I don't see how it could happen on the one hand, and it can't happen on the other hand. The first is a statement about me. I don't see how it could happen. Okay, that's a statement about me. I do or do not see it. That doesn't mean it can't happen. It just means I don't see it. So don't close off your future or your options. Yeah, the back.
He just got in.
Huh?
He doesn't know what's going on. He just walked in.
Oh, so we're each of us telling where we came from and what in particular we want to try to accomplish in yeshiva.
What background?
Background.
Okay. So first of all, how did we discover Judaism? So my parents discovered Judaism since 2014, and they realized what is Judaism or who are the Jews during the business seminar. The guy, he's from Malaysia. He talks about the Jewish businessmen who are successful, and he said why the Jews are receiving Nobel Prize or something like that. I try to remember what I'm saying. So after they discovered it, they watched videos of rabbis, like Rabbi Mizrahi and any other rabbis about basic Judaism. Before,
What country were you from?
Sorry?
What country are you from?
I'm from the Philippines.
The Philippines. Okay.
So, I'm trying to remember. My parents were listening like Jewish history and other basic Derech Hashem during before our conversion. So it takes 2 years the conversion process. So I'm just following with my parents' footsteps during the conversion. So I decided that I want to become Jewish, even though I don't know much about like the complexity of commandments or the halakha. So then in 2018, me and my family converted to Judaism, and we changed our life. So last time we used to be Christian, but now we're Jewish.
When did you move out of the Philippines?
Sorry.
When did you leave the Philippines?
Around since September 2024. My family still lives in the Philippines.
So where do they live now?
They still live in Manila, the capital of the Philippines.
Oh, so they're still there.
Yes.
Is there a Jewish community there?
Yes, but there's a small Jewish community.
Uh,
But
wow.
There's a lot of Filipino converts who are in America, who are in Israel.
That takes a lot of courage. That takes a lot of courage. Okay, welcome. Yeah.
I'm David Bagilo from Azerbaijan, which is located between Russia and Iran. I grew up secular communist.
Yeah.
I've been in Israel this is my third year in Israel, but this is going to be my second year in Ohr Somayach. I came for my studies at Haifa University. I did my second MA in the Holocaust Studies. So I'm actually a PhD candidate back in Azerbaijan, but I didn't finish it. I decided to leave for Israel.
Wow.
And I'm very much also interested in Jewish philosophy and thought, because in terms of my background, I'm a linguist too. I studied linguist, so yeah.
Okay.
Saul Gordon from London, England, and I grew up secular, traditional, and have maintained that. And I kind of decided quite recently to go to yeshiva. It was kind of in the back of my mind over when I was doing A-levels, which is kind of national exams, but I wasn't really sure about it. That wasn't really a thing in my community to really go off, apart from the rabbi's sons who would go to yeshiva. But I thought, might as well, because it's going to be a valuable experience whatever happens. So I'm here now for 3 months, and I've come to learn about myself and to grow as a person, and also to grow in my Judaism, both knowledge and kind of Yiddishkeit. And I'm particularly interested in religious philosophy, kind of talking around the ideas of God and his nature and how that interacts with humans. So yeah, I'm very happy to be here.
Very good. Thank you.
My name is Jordan. I go by Alicia. Actually, I go by both. But I don't know if it's secular, Dal Shuva. I don't know. Well, I was born Jewish. My mom was born Jewish. Abba born Jewish. We know the written Torah, but we had to do a conversion because we didn't have any proof. And so it's for me, if you ask me why do you want to be in yeshiva or why do you come to Israel, it's it's a no-brainer, if you're born Jewish or you're born with a relationship with Hashem, it's something you have to do. It's not something that's I was motivated by this and that, because for me it's something that, me personally, I want to be out, have fun, do what I want to do, but because I'm given a commandment to do something, it's I have to do it,
What is your country of origin?
Origin? USA.
Ah, you were born in the USA.
Yeah, USA.
Interesting. Were your parents immigrants?
No, but grandparents, yeah. I mean, USA, if we get deep into it,
Where?
only people native in the USA is Native
Yeah.
American.
Where in the USA did you live?
I was born in Florida. I grew up in South Carolina, North Carolina, Georgia,
I see.
Philadelphia. My father was in the Marines, so I'm constantly traveling,
But that explains it, because since I'm from New England, you sound to me like you have an accent.
New England? You're from New England?
Because you're from the South.
Yeah, from the South.
Okay, so it's not a foreign accent. This is another American accent.
Is your mom Ethiopian?
So my Ima is Persian, but she's African. She's African, but she has 12% Iran and East Africa, West Africa. I'm not sure Ethiopia. I don't know.
Okay, let's take a look at the Blue Book. I want to show you a couple of pieces of text and a couple of ideas. And we'll make that as a start. There are more of them on the shelf over here, I think. This is the Art Scroll Chumash. $57. We're on page 57.
But I don't have the same Chumash.
Oh, you don't? Okay, so it's chapter. Well, here, he's giving you. It's easier if we do it with pages because I have to go to other pages as well.
Page 56.
Sorry?
Page 56.
50. Well, okay, yeah, 56 if you know Hebrew.
Ah.
You see, it's facing English and Hebrew, so. So I want to study with you what the text says and see if we can understand what it says, and then I want to ask questions about what it means and what it's supposed to teach us. This happens after Hashem tells Abraham to leave where he's living at the time and to move to Israel, which is the land of Canaan, and he does so. And then verse 10 in the middle of the page, it says there was a famine in the land, and Avram, that was his name before it became Abraham. Originally it was Avram. He descended to Egypt to sojourn there, which means to be there temporarily. For the famine was severe in the land of Canaan, it was very severe, so he went down to Egypt. And it occurred, as he was about to enter Egypt, he said to his wife Sarai, that was her name, before it was changed to Sarah. She was originally called Sarai. See now, I've known that you are a woman of beautiful appearance. And it shall occur, when the Egyptians will see you, they will say, that is his wife. A man and a woman traveling together, that's the natural assumption. Then they will kill me, but they will let you live. Please say that you're my sister, that it may go well with me for your sake, and that I may live on account of you. Okay, let's try to figure this out. He's afraid that the Egyptians are going to see them as man and wife, and if they see them as man and wife, they're going to kill him, but not her. But if they say they're brother and sister, nothing will happen. I mean, what is he assuming here? Why would they kill him and leave her alive?
Because they don't do Doge.
One second. Two steps ahead. What would be their purpose if they carried it out in killing him?
So that they could take her as a wife.
So that they could take her. The assumption is that if they're married and they try to abduct her or take her away, he'll resist. He may have friends. He may have allies. It will cause an incident. If they're brother and sister, it'll be much easier. If they're brother and sister, what might happen?
They might try to pay him off.
They might try to negotiate, right? Now look at the last sentence. I think that explains here 13 in a way that otherwise... He says, please say you're my sister, and he has two reasons. First reason is, I'll get some benefit. And the second reason is, there was a second reason. Oh yeah, right. And the second reason is that I'll stay alive. Isn't the order of the reasons a little funny? Shouldn't you put staying alive before getting a benefit? I mean, why would you say, if you say we're brother and sister, then I'll get a benefit, and also, in addition, I'll stay alive? One explanation is this idea of negotiation. If we're brother and sister, then they will want to influence me to agree that you should marry some Egyptian, and they'll negotiate with me and offer me bribes, like you said. And that being the case, they will benefit me, and I'll stay alive on account of that. That's how I will stay alive. I'll stay alive through that strategy. Now, this is an introduction to a very general idea. When you have a list a list, let's say, of 5 items. There are 2 types of lists. In one type of list, the most important item is the first item, and another type of list, the most important item is the last item. So I'll give you an example of each. Please go to the supermarket and get me A, B, C, D, E. Usually, I put it in order of importance because maybe you'll run out of money or maybe you'll run out of time. I really want A, and if you get A and have more time, then B. There, A would be the most important and E would be the least important. That's when I have a list of disconnected items. But suppose the list is a matter of means by which you achieve a goal. Someone says, a kid who's in high school, I want to be a doctor. What does it take to become a doctor? Well, first you do well in your science courses in high school, and you get good recommendations from your science teachers, and you go to a good university that has a good science, particularly biology background, and one that has a pre-med program or is famous for training kids, like Johns Hopkins was, training kids as pre-med. Then you go to medical school. After that, you do a residency, and then you may take time to specialize. And when you're 33, then you'll finally get your full-fledged MA, and you'll be a doctor. In that list, what's the most important item? The most important item is becoming a doctor. That's what it's all for. So in that kind of a list, the most important item is at the end of the list. The reason the question arises about verse 13 is because he says, say we're brother and sister for 2 reasons, and we think the reason is like a shopping list. First of all, I should get a benefit, and second of all, I should stay alive. In that case, you should have put the most important one first. But if it's means to ends, then it makes sense that the most important one is last. Say that we're brother and sister so that they'll negotiate with me and they'll offer me bribes so that I should agree that you should marry her, and that's how we'll stay alive. Okay? That's the explanation for that verse. But you see there's a philosophical principle behind this. This is not without explanation. Okay, now I want to ask a very simple relationship question here. Abraham puts it to her as follows. Please say we're brother and sister so that I will have 2 benefits. And what do we say? If they don't say they're brother and sister, then the anticipation is the Egyptians will kill him and take her. Now ask yourself, would that be good for her?
Yeah. No. Yeah, she's in a palace of Pharaoh. I mean, emotionally for a few years, but physically, she's taken care of.
Do you think this is what she wants?
No, of course
Okay.
not.
Okay, fine. It's not going to be good for her. It's not what she wants, right? It'd be a tragedy for her. So my question is this. Why didn't Abraham put the request in more realistic terms? Please say we're brother and sister because we're both in trouble. We're both in danger. There's a bad outcome anticipated for both of us. Let's be smart and say that we're brother and sister so that we'll both benefit. Isn't what's really going on? So why doesn't he put it that way? Why does he say, please, as if he's asking her for a favor? Please do me a favor and say that you're my sister so that I will have these benefits. It's not an accurate way of presenting what the real situation is about. So why does he do that?
Why are we assuming she was happy?
Okay, when you know the background and you know what they were committed to, and they had left Ur Kasdim before that on a journey, and she left with him and left everything behind to be with him, so it's fair to assume that.
But didn't he already say they're going to kill me? So isn't it already presumed that he's doing it to live? Because in the prior verse, he's already assumed.
Okay, that's a very interesting question. In terms of text, why do you have to put it in again? But you see now that what I said answers that question also. It's put in as the purpose of the benefit.
Right, okay.
Right? But I think that's right. You could assume that was. So it was just a list of items that you were going to get as a benefit. That's already covered. That's quite right. But still. So now, let me ask you a question. if Reuven does Shimon a favor, what relationship do they have now? I'll give you an example. Reuven saves Shimon's life. Shimon is drowning in a river, and Reuven jumps in at some danger to himself and fishes him out and saves his life. And Shimon says, Reuven, you saved my life. I can't. I'll never be able to thank you. 2 months later, Reuven calls up Shimon and says, this is Reuven talking. Remember me? He said, remember you. I could never forget you. You saved my life. Listen, I have a need. Could you lend me $5,000? Now Shimon thinks, lend him $5,000. I do have $5,000 that I could lend. I do have it. But my next door neighbor, an hour ago, asked me to lend him $5,000. I didn't answer him. But now I have 2 requests. Reuven has saved my life. I'm my next door neighbor. I only have $5,000 to lend, so I'll decide by flipping a coin. Is that okay? No, that's not okay. Reuven saved his life. He owes him something. Shimon owes him something. He owes him what we call a debt of gratitude. This isn't something you can collect in court. He doesn't owe it according to the law, but morally, he owes him a debt of gratitude. And if it's a choice of lending money to Reuven or a casual acquaintance, of course he should lend money to Reuven. What that shows you is that when someone does you a favor, you owe him something in return. By the way, I don't know if you ever heard this, in an older style of English, when A asks B to do him a favor, B might answer, happy to oblige. That's very deep. It means when I do you a favor, I oblige you. I put you under an obligation of gratitude to me. That's what happens. So now, Abraham says, if I tell Sarah this is for both of us, then part of it is I'm looking out for her. I'm figuring out how to save her. If that's the case, she owes me something. Look what I had her in mind. I took her safety into account. I thought of a strategy to save both of them. And in that way, she owes him something. If he describes it as, I want you to do me a favor, he owes her, not she owes him. According to his description, she's doing him a favor, so he owes her. He doesn't want to put her under a debt. He doesn't want to feel that he put a debt on her. And that's why he describes it as doing me a favor. That's a very important idea in interacting with people.
How did you come to that conclusion?
So I'll show you, and this is based on an essay by Rav Dessler and some other studies that I've done. But I don't know how long ago this was, 10 years ago, I wrote an essay on self-esteem. So I was looking around sources internationally. What do people do to create or encourage self-esteem? I looked at quite a few different sources, international resources, and one element which I think is central to self-esteem is missing from all of them. You want to build up Reuven's self-esteem, listen carefully, ask him for a favor. Ask him for a favor. Enable him to do something valuable for somebody else. Because what really builds self-esteem is that you're valuable. And you show that you're valuable, you know that you're valuable when you make someone else's life better. So you build up self-esteem by giving the opportunity for the person to do something for somebody else. There's a magazine called Jewish Action, and about 5 years ago they had an article which illustrates this beautifully. Though the author wasn't stressing it, but it illustrates it beautifully. It was preparing for Pesach, and of course the house is a riot, and everybody's cleaning everything. And she said to her 7-year-old son, your responsibility is the bookshelves. Take off all the books, and wash the bookshelves, and shine them, and dust off all the books, and put it back. Which he did, at some effort, and he did it. When they sat down to the Seder, with their 20 guests seated around the Seder table, the mother says to the people, look at the bookshelves. Look at those bookshelves. Yankee, my 7-year-old, did that. How does Yankee feel? He feels terrific because he did something that was valuable. That's what makes him feel valuable. So if you want to build up someone's self-esteem, put them in a position where they can do something valuable for someone else. Now you can create this. You can create this. You're doing exactly what Abraham did. Let's suppose I plan to take a trip to Italy. I've never been to Italy. And I know that Richard over there doesn't think much of himself and he's down on himself. I go over to Richard and I say, listen, I'm going to Italy. I've never been there. I understand you've been there twice. Can I ask some questions about Italy? What is it like? What are the people like? What's the climate like? What kinds of things can you do and can't you do? When I ask him these questions, what message am I sending to him? What Deborah Tannen calls a meta message. What am I implying when I ask him these questions? Well, number one, that he's knowledgeable. Number two, that he's intelligent. Number three, that he's articulate. He can explain these things to me. Number four, that he has the willingness, the kindness to help me. Am I not building him up? By the fact of asking him for advice or information, am I not building him up? But he doesn't feel that. What he feels is he's doing me a favor and giving me information about Italy, which he is. It's true. When I say thank you to him, I'm not lying. I am grateful for the fact that he did me a favor. The truth is I'm also doing him a favor. But I don't tell him that I'm doing a favor. I don't want him to be indebted to me. He's the one who needs to be built up in self-esteem. I don't need to put him under more obligations. So this is an interpersonal method of interacting. It's not always the right thing to do, but it's very often the right thing to do when you want to do something for somebody, but you want to do it in such a way that they don't feel that indebted to you. You don't create an indebtedness on their side. Okay, yeah.
Is that similar to like the Aleph Bet? Dalit is back towards Gimel because you don't want to, when you give Kesef, it's like you don't want to show your face, you want it to be anonymous?
Very good. Very good. Charity is a key Jewish mitzvah. You know that. There are different levels of charity, what's preferable. The next to best level of charity is that it should be anonymous. And therefore, there are many, many charity organizations, people who volunteer their time to collect money from those who are offering and give it to those in need, and neither knows the other. And part of the reason for that, there's a very interesting halacha in the Gemara. Let's say I lent Reuven money. Now, a loan has a due date. So until the due date goes by, he still has the obligation to pay, and there's no reason for him to worry about it. But let's suppose the due date goes by, for whatever reason he hasn't paid me. I'm walking down the street, and I see Reuven walking opposite me. The halacha is that I should cross the street, not to meet Reuven, because he might be embarrassed. He sees me. He knows that he owes me the money. He knows he didn't pay the money. He's passing by me. Gives him a pang in the heart. I shouldn't want to embarrass him. I should like to protect him from embarrassment. So that's the idea of being put under an extra obligation. So at least if the person's taking charity, he shouldn't have that embarrassment. So that's exactly right. I think that's exactly right. So then in the Hebrew letters, the picture of the letter is understood, among other things, as a kind of hieroglyph. And the Gimel, in a certain sense, is like a body with a hand out. And the Dalet is facing the other way. So the Gimel here, the Dalet here, and the Dalet is facing that way. The idea is that the Gimel is one who's asking for money, and the Dalet is one who's giving the money to Gimel, but with his back turned so that he won't see him. And that's a symbol of the idea of Jewish charity, which should be done, if possible, anonymously. Now, having said that, let me just fill out the picture, and we'll be done for today. I said it's the next to best level of charity. Does anybody know what the best level of charity is?
Run a job.
What's that?
To give them a job or something, a consistent flow.
Okay. either to give him a job or to teach him how to do some trade to make him self-sufficient. Now, it's really a very subtle proposition. If I give him a job, at the end of the week, I pay him money for the work that he did. So the charity is not in his working for me. That's earning money. The charity is in giving him the job. I don't know if you've experienced what it means for people to be out of work, especially men to be out of work, but it's very painful, very, very painful for a man to be out of work. Give him a job, you relieve him of that pain, and you enable him to work to support himself, and then it's not anonymous. Because it doesn't have to be anonymous. Because there's no embarrassment in coming at the end of a week of work and saying to your employer, here's my work slip, please give me my wages. There's no embarrassment in that. You worked for it. You earned it. You deserve it. So the highest scale is to avoid the embarrassment, and the best way to avoid the embarrassment is by making people self-sufficient. And this is one of the explanations, talking in philosophy for just a moment, is one of the explanations for why God created the world that he did. This is superficial, and there are many others. I don't mean to say this is the answer, but it's one relevant feature, and that is, if he had just given us the goodness that we are designed to receive in Olam Haba, in the world to come, without earning it, without deserving it, it wouldn't have been a complete gift, because we wouldn't have had the self-esteem, the dignity of having earned it. We wouldn't have that. So this way, he enables it to be a double gift by assigning us responsibilities in this world and enabling us to fulfill those responsibilities. He enables the gift of Olam Haba to be a complete gift, a gift without any demerits, without any detractions. So that's one of the reasons. This is what's called Na'ama Deksufa, which in Aramaic means bread of shame. There's a statement in the Jerusalem Talmud which says, he who eats that which is not his own is embarrassed to look the giver in the face. And all that has deeper meanings as well. That's a very widespread explanation for why our world is set up the way it is, so we can avoid that embarrassment of having gotten something for nothing. Okay, this is an example of the kind of thing that I like to do when we do Chumash, to try to understand the words, try to get the text straight, and then try to see what the philosophical implications are. Okay, have a wonderful Shabbos, and I'll see you on Sunday. Sunday's Q&A, and Monday is back to this.